Shall we go through the little quotes he said there, or the big quotes, shall I say?
Yeah, I mean, he was really talking very explicitly about leaving, to be honest, to the BBC. He says, "I came here to help the club, and if the problem could be the coach, I'm ready to go, no problem." He says, "I'm not used to this situation. I'm trying everything, but the situation is not changing." He said that Tottenham, I came in to improve the situation at Tottenham, and just like they gave me he said, just like they gave me the job, I'm ready to go home, and I'm ready to, if I'm not the answer, if I'm not the person to change the situation, I'm ready to go, and it's up to the club whether they think I'm the right person to change the situation. He said, "I'm giving 20 hours of my day to Tottenham, and I sleep the rest of the sleep 4 hours a day, but it's not enough. It's not enough to change it." So he said, "I'm ready to go." That's what he said. "I'm ready to go," which is like, wow, you're literally just saying it. Like he said, he said the performance can be good, commitment was good, but we lost. For me, the situation is unacceptable. I came here to try and improve. Maybe in this moment, I'm not so good. They're similar to what you said in the press conference, but he was just being very explicit about, him just willing to leave if he's not the right person for the job.
Do you think what are you thinking about this? Do you think it's a bit unprofessional from Conte to come out like this?
Yeah, probably. I think you don't want. Look, as a player, you'd imagine that you don't want your manager saying that kind of stuff in TV interviews. Or definitely the club don't. That's for sure. Definitely looks very bad on them if their manager is saying these kind of things. We as a manager of the caliber of Conte, you expect him, instead of saying, after 4 losses in 5, instead of saying, I don't think I'm the right man and these kind of things, you want him to start saying, look, we're going to find different solutions, we're going to try different things. But maybe the situation's worse from the inside than it is than we can see, because as much as it's bad, 4 losses in 5 is bad, no doubt about it. That's a bad situation to be in, but it's off the back of 9 games unbeaten, 6 wins, 3 draws, like playing fairly well as well during that period. So I know we've hit a bad patch, but it's not like we've lost. Okay, yeah, we've lost like 4 out of 5. It was very bad, and I'm guessing he's looking at it from the context of the caliber of teams he's had and the runs they've been on, and they've been on big winning runs, and he's not used at all to having a team that's capable of losing 4 out of 5 games. But in terms of like the top 4 race, like we are a very bad situation, but we're not completely out of it. So if we can turn it around, you can still get back into it. So you want him to be positive, and you want him to be like, yeah, look, we can find solutions, we can turn it around. I believe in this team, but he has to believe it himself. And maybe I don't know. I'm trying to get my head around what he's saying, because is he really saying he's willing to walk away from the situation right now? And that would look bad on him as much as it looks bad on us as well. If he just, because it is kind of the first sign of trouble. It is 4 out of 5. I know 4 out of 5 defeats is a bad run of form, but he can't leave after 1 defeat. Like this is the first like sign of trouble he's had at Tottenham. And he's all of a sudden threatening to leave. Like, that's not a situation you want to be in. But then again, maybe he needs to give these players a reality check of what's going on, and like maybe he needs to tell them, look, you need to start getting results for me, otherwise I don't know how much more I can take of this.
Yeah, I mean, he did come out and not saying he's ready to walk and stuff like that, but after we lost to Mura, he gave a very kind of damning statements in his post-match interviews and press conferences as well. So it's not exactly the first time he's come out and been super negative about this squad. And,
no.
And many managers have done it in the well, not many, but Mourinho was saying similar things. Different managers, same players, and all that kind of stuff. And as much as I kind of agree with Jose and Conte about the state of the squad and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really sit right with me that only a few days ago he was saying, "Oh, this is one of the best groups of players I've ever worked with," and now he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to walk."
Yeah, Pete, do you think that's hypocritical?
A little bit, yeah.
See, I didn't read into when he said this is the best group of players I worked with. I didn't read into that, him saying, because I think even in these interviews he's continued to say these players work really hard, they're committed, like they're trying their best. Like when he said that against Man City, I didn't read that as to say quality wise they're one of the best. I read to say like in terms of commitment, hard work, in terms of winningness, they're one of the best. And I still think that, I don't think he said anything to the contrary. He's continued to say about these players, they're trying their best, they're working as hard as possible, but it's not enough. That's what he's saying. So I didn't think what he said last week was him saying this is the best group, like quality wise. I think he meant like, because then he said as well they're also the best people as well. I think that's what he was trying to say. Like they're hard working, they're willing to give their all, but unfortunately the quality just isn't there. Yeah. And I think that's that's because he even said that after Mura. Like he hasn't once questioned the work ethic of this squad, not once. He said after Mura, he said you can work, you can try really hard, you can and you can work your best, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes hard work isn't enough, and sometimes that's even more scary than the team not trying hard enough.
Definitely is more scary. But the thing is, right, it's too much. It's too much for our emotions as a fan base, as a football club, and all this stuff. Like 1 week when you win, you're on top of the world, everything's brilliant, and then you lose and everything's the worst thing in the world. I mean, we just need a bit of level ground here. It's just too much to take for our emotions, all of this stuff. It's just like,
I agree,
Jekyll and Hyde. It's like 1 week everything's amazing, the next week everything's the worst thing in the world. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what to think about this whole thing, because at one hand I completely agree with Conte. On the other hand, I'm thinking like this is a bit too much. So I really don't know what to think, to be honest.
Definitely causes a lot of stress when he says all this kind of stuff, because people could, I'll continue wondering, because the thing is, ever since he came to Tottenham, everyone's been wondering when he's going to leave, pretty much.
After every loss, basically, the rumours come out.
Yeah, I mean, well, he didn't lose up until Chelsea, did he?
Yeah.
Which was not even that long ago. That was at the end of January now, wasn't it? End of January or end of December? End of January.
Our first loss?
League game, yeah.
Against Chelsea.
Yeah, was that January?
It was January, I think it was, yeah.
So it wasn't even that long ago. So, like, things were going pretty well. So for him to have turned... But the thing is, he's turned, but he hasn't, like... He has been saying all along, like, this squad, the quality at Tottenham isn't so high, and he's like anymore and all this kind of stuff. Do you reckon maybe he feels like we could have done more in January? Maybe he's a bit annoyed about that. Maybe he thinks that in January, because I'm reading from Del Piero. Del Piero do you see this quote from Del Piero? So let me see if I can get it up. From Romano tweeted it out, and I think this maybe gets into maybe his psychology a bit more. Bloody hell, where is it? Let me see if I can get it up. 1 sec. Romano tweeted out. It's because Del Piero said it, yeah. So Del Piero said, I was in London to meet Antonio Conte a few weeks ago. He said he was super happy about Tottenham, the board and the facility and the stadium. But he says, I feel the problem is about the players he needs to win titles. They sold 4 players in January and only signed 2. And that's coming from a player. Clearly, he's had an informal conversation with Conte as a friend. And I don't think Del Piero says that unless Conte feels that. I don't think Del Piero is going to set, like, unless Conte feels that it was a problem that we only signed 2 and sold 4. I don't think Del Piero is going to reiterate that, because I feel like they would have had a conversation. Conte probably said, like, they've left me short. And that's why Del Piero, because Del Piero doesn't know the problems, does he? He's hearing from Conte what the problems are from inside.
But it's clear. It's clear we got left short in the summer. I know these 4
in January.
In January, it's clear that maybe these 4 players weren't influencing stuff like we like to. But there were still times when Lo Celso came on. There were still times when Ndombele came on. In that Liverpool game, Ndombele played really well that game and got an assist for the goal, a really good assist. So I mean, Dele Alli as well played in that Liverpool game. So it's not like they weren't getting any minutes whatsoever. It's not like they were completely outcasted. These players, there were still players that Conte called upon.
I was saying Lo Celso, as I said, when he got after he got injured, he came back into the squad, and he was playing. Like he started against Chelsea in the semi-final, in the cup semi-final against Leicester. He was the first player to come on when we were losing. Like he was a player that we were using, and then all of a sudden he got left out against Chelsea in the league game, and then he was gone the next couple of days later. Like all of a sudden he's a player who can't be trusted, and he's outcast and he's gone. It's like, what? That was very quick. And
at the time, Conte did say it in his conference. He has to use the line of the club.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, maybe not obviously, but I believe that in January they needed to get these players out, and I think maybe Conte was like, "Yeah, I'd accept these players going out if we bring players in." I don't think. I refuse to believe that Conte will be like, yeah, get these 4 midfielders out, but only bring one in.
The problem is as well, we've said it continually, we were short. Going into January, we were short. So now getting 2 players less or even shorter. And that's a problem. And quality-wise, whatever you want, as I keep saying, whatever you want to think of Ndombele and Lo Celso, quality-wise, they're midfielders that we don't have in the squad in terms of ability to, like games like yesterday. I'm not saying if we had Ndombele and Lo Celso, we win. But if we have players who have ability in tight spaces in the final third, able to have a bit of vision and pick out passes and play little intricate passes and stuff like that. Yesterday, we didn't have players who can do that. And maybe if we had players of that skill set, it could have helped us open up Burnley a bit more and play within those tight spaces in and around the defence. And that is a big problem. And maybe Conte is frustrated about that. And I think, when he's saying in his presser, and the interviews about him, being ready to go, I think that's very clearly calling out the board. He's like saying, look, if you don't think I'm good enough, let me go. Get rid of me then if you don't think I'm up to the job. I think he's kind of he's kind of being maybe a bit facetious in that kind of way when he's talking about himself leaving and him not being so good and not being good enough. I think he's like maybe he is starting to feel with no data again.
Excellent connection, it says.
We're back up, I think. Yeah, we're back? Yeah. All right, apologies about that, guys. As we were saying about Antonio Conte.
Yeah, but I think you're absolutely spot on in what Conte's saying. He completely backs himself all the time, Conte. And he's saying that's exactly what he's doing. He's sending messages to the board because of how it went in January. And we all said leading up to January, if we get rid of any player, no matter who that player is, we need to replace them. Mm-hmm. And we got rid of 4 and brought in 2.
Yeah, that's the problem. And the squad, that's into a squad that's already, and you can say, and look, Conte did say the squad is more complete, but maybe he meant, players he can rely on, but not in terms of numbers. As he continually said as well, in terms of numbers, we're weaker. And he said that. And maybe he's still annoyed about that. And maybe we're starting to suffer from that at the moment, because since January's come along, we've lost 3 out of 4 because Chelsea was before. Well, Chelsea was in January, but we hadn't had Bentancur or Kulu before then. But ever since they've come, we've lost 3 out of 4 games, only being Man City. And I think maybe that's what he's trying to say. He's quite annoyed about that. Maybe these kind of conversations were more, in most clubs, they want to keep that in-house, especially a club like Tottenham, who are very political, like in how they deal with things. They definitely want to keep that kind of stuff in-house. But maybe the club need to hear it. Maybe the players need to hear it, and maybe that could shake something. Maybe when he says something needs to change, that's what he means. Maybe he needs that just a bit of a shake-up. Maybe he's saying that he needs to say something, because if he keeps quiet, and that I think that's what he's trying to say.
But what's going to change from now until the end of the season?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, like
what can change?
He said in his in one of the last parts, he said, look, I could just keep. He said, he said, I can just say, we have another game Saturday, and I can just take my wage, and I could just say nothing. But I'm too honest, and I think that's what he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say I need to say something, because at the moment we're headed for a bad direction, and maybe he's trying to say, like, I need to shake things up a bit. I don't know.
What does that actually mean, though? Because, I mean, what can change from now to the end of the season? What does shaking up actually mean?
Psychology, how players think about it. That's all I can think. I don't know. What else could it mean?
Yeah, because I have no clue. And I think the only way you can change things is within a transfer window at this football club, because the quality of the squad is too low. And like he keeps saying, effort. We don't think effort is a problem within this squad.
No.
It's not effort, it's quality.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you change quality? It's in a transfer window. You can't change quality now, can you?
No.
So, I mean, how do you shake things up and change it into a positive way? Because if you look at any of the players that started last night, any other player that comes in off the subs bench or anything like that is a massive downgrade.
It's pretty much our first team, let's be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't
about...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it wasn't about not having players available or anything. I don't think yesterday it wasn't the problem. I don't see that as a problem anyway. Like yesterday, if we have everyone fit, maybe Skip gets in there. Like, well, other than that, like, is there anyone really? You know, you could have started Lucas over Kulu potentially. Like, but like, does that really change much? Probably not. So yeah, it's
and
true.
people will say,
but maybe it's a psychology thing with the players that are saying it needs to change. Maybe he thinks calling out publicly might shake it up for them, because maybe he feels like, yeah, they're working hard, but maybe something mentally needs to change.
And people will say,
I don't know.
People will say, oh, Stinky thinks I'm melting, but people will say that, you know,
we're all melting.
What would people were saying? You're ice cold. You see, I'm phased. I mean, people will say, and I've seen a few comments like this saying, like, oh, what would Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele Alli, and all these players change last night? And maybe they wouldn't have, but at least there's an extra option that we can try. You know what I mean? At least we have no options that we can try.
As I'm saying, because yesterday, to change things up, you can bring in Lucas and Bergwijn, but that kind of game doesn't call for a Lucas or a Bergwijn. It calls for a Lo Celso and Ndombele to come on and change things.
More the latter, in my opinion.
Yeah, like that's the kind of player we needed. A bit of guile, a bit of intricate passing, someone who can maybe, when they're in and around the final third, can pick a very accurate pass in a tight space.
Press-resistant players as well.
Yeah. Like Bergwijn and Lucas, they need space. They need players to run at and space to run into and things like that. So we don't have that, unfortunately, anymore. We don't even have the option of that. That's what I was saying. When we let go of Lo Celso and Ndombele, I was saying, at least they stay. We have the option of maybe they can come back into the side and start proving themselves. Now they're gone. We don't even have that option anymore. We don't have that option of any of that player. So we've completely taken that out of the squad. We're now relying our creativity pretty much on Højbjerg, Bentancur, Winks and Skip in the centre for any sort of creativity to build up play. And maybe it'll be all right for a few games, but there will be a lot of games where they come unstuck, and yesterday was one of those where it was very difficult for them, and we could have done with a more creative player with a bit more guile, and unfortunately yesterday that wasn't even an option, and that was bad. But look,
will Conte walk? That's the question.
I don't think he will just yet. But potentially I think in the summer there's a big chance that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure he'll stay to the end of the season.
And if he will. Let's say he stays to the end of the season, right, and we don't get top four, which looks very likely at this stage. If we don't get top four, screws up our whole transfer situation in terms of the players that we can bring in and the money that we can spend. Harry Kane clearly will look at it in a completely different way as well. And if Harry Kane goes, Conte's walking. If Conte walks, Harry Kane's going. So if we don't get top four, and Conte does walk, where does this leave us as a football club?
Not in a very good situation. Not in a very good situation at all. And, you know, there's only so much I think Son can part with. We got him to sign a new contract. And I'm sure he's happy here, but like if Kane and Conte both walk, I don't see why he would continually be happy with the situation. I think we convinced him just about, because let's be honest, the contract talks were in January and he delayed all the way until the summer, didn't he? Like there was always all that talk, he's about to sign. He never did for about 6 months. So there's only so much longer he might, because I'm sure he's an ambitious guy as well. So if, you know, this club at the moment, if they continue to go in the direction we're going in, it's going to be very difficult to see where we're going to be at in a year's time. The only way I think we can start going in another positive direction is if we get someone like Graham Potter in, and again The problem is, what's going to need to happen is we need to get a manager of the mold of Graham Potter in, and then it's going to have to take another year for us to get up to his methods and be a good attacking player. And we're going to have to get a few signings, young players who whatever, and who we like. We're going to have to sell Kane. I think we're going to have to accept. I think probably Son as well. We're going to have to accept that we're selling them. Just get exactly and just build from the bottom up. That's the only way you can get back on the right track if all this seems to go to shit, which seems to at the moment. I think we get like 200 million for them, hopefully, or whatever, something like that. Get 200 million for Kane and Son. Just completely rebuild with younger players. Again, write off another year next year, and maybe get in Europa League. And then hopefully in another year's time, we're in a position where we can start challenging for top 4 again. That's the only way I see it going in a positive. That's like the best case scenario if it all goes to shit at the end of the season, basically.
But on the other side of it, with Antonio Conte, do we not think that he knew the situation he was walking into at this football club? Did he not know the situation that he was walking into? Because he should have known the situation, seeing as what's happened in the past with Pochettino, Mourinho, and everything like that.
I think he hinted at it when he was talking about in his Italian interview. He said, you know, you see things from the outside and you don't, obviously you think, oh, I can come in and I can improve the situation, but you don't get the full picture until you're in it. And so I don't think it's possible to know the full picture until you're inside the club. You can be told things and you can know there you can see problems and stuff like that, but you don't know the full extent of it until you're actually in the job. And maybe, you know, he was maybe told by Paratici all the, you know, this and that, and Levy as well, and they convinced him to come, and maybe you like, look, you can drag us to top 4 and there, and maybe we'll give you a lot of money, you can win the title, because he doesn't come here to win top 4, to get top 4, as he said. He's a title winning manager. He only comes if he sees that ambition, and obviously he knows he's not going to win the title this year, but maybe maybe he was convinced, you know, look, we got Kane, we got Son, we got all these players
in front of his eyes a bit.
I
think this club is a complete illusion, right? Because you walk in the doors of the club at Hotspur Way, the best training ground in the world. You go to that stadium, it's the best stadium in the world, and you're thinking, all right, I've walked into a serious club here. And then you actually see the players that you have to work with.
You got Doherty and you got these people.
It's ridiculous.
You're trying
the infrastructure around the club is like literally next to no one in the world, best in the world, probably.
Yeah. No expense spared.
No expense spared on that. And then you look at this actual squad that you've got to deal with, and it's literally like, wow. How the hell is all this stuff around the club like this? And actual what's on the pitch, what you're actually there for, is completely down to shit.
He said that at the very beginning, to be fair, Conte. He said the investment of the club has to match off on the pitch as it is off the pitch. He said that.
And he said that right at the beginning, but you're not going to fix that over one January transfer window, are you?
Not totally, but you can but you maybe don't sell 4 players if you're only going to bring in 2.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, like, no, you can't solve all your problems in January, but you can maybe find some solutions, and maybe we haven't found enough to his liking, especially at wing back, you know, in crucial areas, and we didn't find any solutions there. So I don't know. It's tough to know exactly what he signed up for, what he was told, and all this kind of stuff. But he did hint at he didn't know the full picture of the problems before joining. So
just like Jose didn't, he also got the wall pulled up in front of his eyes, you know, because like I keep saying, this club is an actual illusion. It's an illusion painted to be a big club, but they're not. And that's just the facts of the matter.
We act like a big club in everything but on the pitch.
Literally.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So look, I want to know what people have to say about. I want to listen to what people have to say about Conte's comments, and that's going to be the main focus of the call-ins. Obviously, we did lose a game. We're willing to talk about that, but Conte's what Conte's saying and how he's feeling and all that kind of stuff is. I want to know what people have to say, and got some super chats. Let's read out some of them as well.
Yeah.
Tin Man 007 says, guys, how many more managers is this board going to fail? What Conte said is 100% truth. The problem is fans don't like hearing the truth. No manager can sort this mess out. Enoch/Levy, leave. And that's, look, at the moment, to be honest, it's hard to disagree. This hierarchy is continuing having problem after problem with manager after manager. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the best managers of the world or whatnot, or even when a manager does exactly what the remit is, they don't then back him up with exactly what he needs going forward. And that's been a very big problem. And at the moment, if this all goes tits up, which it looks like, it's going to be maybe no way back for this hierarchy. It's going to be very difficult to see a way back for them.